won last night. LA didn't the night before. Israel's still blowing up stuff. We'll talk about Dwight Howard in a minute. But let's start with Robert Card. Let's start with this 40-year-old mass shooter in Lewiston, Maine. Walmart, bowling alleys, and wherever else this young man felt that he needs to go around shooting folk. It seems like there's two very serious epidemics in America. Epidemic number one in America is abortions. That's a real killer. Killing more people than Hamas and Israel combined, killing more people than every mass shooter in the history of the United States of America. You folks is killing babies. In the United States of America especially, you're killing babies at an incredible rate. Genocide, the Palestinian has not been genocide like the millions of babies that you folks are knocking off yearly in the United States of America. I believe it's in the millions, actually. If I'm wrong, somebody can correct that. But it's good to see everybody. This is Del K. Brereton. This is The Real Spiel. This is the channel that tells it like it is. I've been taking some time to write, kind of like just figure out my thoughts about Israel and Hamas and seeing what's going on over there. Everybody's so polarized. I see Cornel West having arguments, Pierce Morgan having arguments. To the credit of current media, the Palestinian voice has been a lot louder. And so the conversation has actually been a balanced conversation, and we're going to get to that last on my drive home. I usually like to do this conversation on the drive in, but I start coaching basketball so early, it's kind of dark. But it's good to see everybody coming on here. Hey, good to see you, Satro, Yvonne Gentles. Good to see you. Let's have that conversation about Mr. Card. So, the mass shooter epidemic of America, and it's very interesting that this is a very specific type of behavior. And I'm sorry if I'm starting something that seemingly is racially charged, but I think it's not accidental. And I'm going to borrow some of the words of my great friend John Leake, where he was mentioning some things he wrote to me. But I'm going to borrow that topic he had in respect to Israel. I'm going to borrow it for this. And the mindset is, why is it that it's seemingly very normal white guy next doors wake up? Of course, they're hearing voices, apparently. They have mental illness issues, apparently. But they look like very cookie-cutter white boys. And they are the ones that are killing each other. It's incredible. It is an epidemic of middle-aged and young white men deciding to pick up a rifle, walk into places where nobody else has a rifle, and start shooting. There is schizophrenic men all over the world. There's schizophrenic men in Canada. There's schizophrenic men in Afghanistan. There's schizophrenic men in Dubai. There's schizophrenic men in Japan, Thailand, the Caribbean. But nowhere in the world do schizophrenic men, this is what white people say they are. They always tell these boys are schizophrenic. I don't believe they're schizophrenic whatsoever. I believe they're perfectly sane. But schizophrenic boys just get up and decide that they're going to go shoot people. And there's a lot of versions of them. There's some that get up and say they're going to go shoot blacks only, and then some that get up, they're indiscriminate. They're shooting anyone. Some go into schools. That's usually in Texas. They like to go into schools and they like to shoot people's children. Some sit on bell towers and knock people off like snipers. But it is very interesting that the United States of America literally produces mass shooters, produces white mass shooters. The United States of America produces mass shooters. Your manufacturing industry, according to Donald Trump, was supposed to come back. He tried to bring back the coal, but he couldn't bring that back. But what y'all never lost, Y'all never lost the white lyncher. Never lost him. That white lyncher has literally turned the gun on himself, for the most part. Yes, we do have some mass shooters who do target people of color, but for the most part, they're quite indiscriminate. And America produces them at an incredible rate. That white lyncher, way back, they used to post pictures of black men, black women hanging in trees. They'd have their children out, they'd have their wives, and they'd have a good old-fashioned barbecue while they hung this young man or young person up, and they hung him up, they strung him up. That white lynching mentality has not left America. It is like a sickness that permeates through each generation and has created something that is a phenomenon for only the United States of America. Now, let me potentially try to defeat my thesis. Is it because of the abundance of guns that are being created in America, that this manufacturing of guns and the weaponry, and the fact that the American army and military is so prestigiously powerful, and that guns are just everywhere in America? Texas has open carry, and all these open carry states like Delaware. I don't know if Maine's an open carry state, but all these open carry states and the freeness of having these weapons that are potentially just for army use are prevalent in regular society. That has been the argument. That has been the argument. But that could also be said in the Ukraine. That could also be said in Russia. That potentially can also be said in Israel, or even China, where they have these strong militaries that have the capacity. People are walking around with guns. Afghanistan, all these people, some of these little young kids, little Hamas kids are using guns at 7 years old. They know how to build a bomb by the time before they get out of puberty, they can build a bomb. But America creates mass shooters who love to kill their own citizens. That is an interesting thought. Miss Ann's, good to see you. That is a very interesting thought. And it's something that apparently America really cannot contain nor control, because every now and then a good old boy will just wake up and decide it's time to kill people in my neighborhood. And it's a phenomena of the United States of America. This is where I'm borrowing from John Leakes. Could God be essentially punishing the sins of America and the sins of that white lynching mentality that killed so many? I'm not trying to say nothing, but so many people killed indiscriminately, killed under a racial superiority complex that decided that certain lives were not worth anything and certain lives were. You hear the segue? I'm going straight to Israel and Palestine with that, because there is a Western mentality. There is a pervasive Western mentality that certain lives are valuable and certain lives are not. And now, yes, I'm gonna say it, are the chickens come home to roost, to the point that you can't get away from a mass shooter in America. There's nothing you can do. You can outlaw guns, you can limit handguns, you can limit AR-15s, but some crazy, I don't think they're always crazy, some crazy white man in his 40s who they can't find listen, Israel can blow up 1,000 rockets heading their way. They can blow up 1,000 rockets. And the Iron Dome, you launch 1,000 rockets on Israel, the Iron Dome has a 90-some-odd% accuracy rate. But you telling me they can't find a white boy in Maine who done shut up a Walmart and shut up a bowling alley? They can't find him. He's missing in action. They can't. They can find Gaddafi. They can find Osama bin Laden. They can find all that technology that Israel is using as America's technology. They're finding every Hamas leader blowing that guy up. They're finding these guys underground. They can't find a white guy that shot up a Walmart in America. I don't know. They can't find him. All of a sudden, he's like the boogeyman. He gone. He shot some people up and they gone. Well, I guess, I don't know, you better send the IDF down there to Maine to help them out, because the IDF seemingly can find a terrorist anywhere. They can find them in a hospital. I know. Isn't it interesting that once that hospital blew up, and it was a wonderful narrative, actually. It's a wonderful narrative. I mean, because it looked real bad. It looked real bad. I'm coming to Dwight Howard last, because I know y'all can't wait for that conversation. But it looked really bad when that hospital blew up. And I was literally sitting down with my rationale and understanding, because I understand Israel. Let me put it better. I understand Netanyahu. I understand him very well. I do. I understand Benjamin Netanyahu very, very well. Benjamin Netanyahu is a one-track pony. He's a one-track mind. You want to know what he thinks? There's things that are very interesting about life. Like when you understand something and everything else falls into place. Like strange segue, but when you understand who Christ is, the whole Bible falls into place. It makes sense. All these little things that you thought didn't make sense make sense when you learn something properly. When you understand Benjamin Netanyahu's baseline agenda, everything makes sense. Okay? What is Benjamin Netanyahu's core agenda? Can I tell you? Glad to be part of the family with you, Del. Oh, good to see you, Miss Ann. Oh, Adi Al-Qatani, the Spice Man. Bless you, sir. The spice of life. Still going strong. Benjamin Netanyahu agenda is to disarm Iran. Simple, right? Benjamin Netanyahu's agenda is to disarm Iran. That's his agenda. Netanyahu is not worried about Hamas. He's not worried about Palestinians. He's not worried about Syria. He's not worried about Lebanon. Definitely not worried about Egypt. Netanyahu is worried about Iran. And Netanyahu fundamentally believes that Iran must be not just disarmed, but wiped off the face of the earth. The problem with the West is that you're going to hear every single time an Ayatollah in Iran says that we want to wipe Israel off the map. Every time any Ayatollah breathes that anywhere, bro, that's gonna be on CNN. That's gonna be on BBC. That's gonna be somewhere. You're gonna hear it. But nowhere have you ever heard Benjamin Netanyahu say Iran should not exist. You haven't heard it. But let me tell you something that's in his brain. Because it's a very simple reason why it's in his brain. Because, and this is fundamental to Israel, it's fundamental to survival, it's fundamental to that region, it's fundamental to peoples who have been under fire and under siege for a period of time. If you know, I'm gonna put it in an analogy, then I'll bring it back to Iran. If you go back in time, you take every Jew, every Holocaust Jew, every Jew from today, every right-wing Jew, because you leftists, you guys have a hard kind of. You take every white-wing Jew and you take them back to 1915, 1910, I don't know when Hitler was born, and you say, this is Adolf Hitler. He is about to do unspeakable things to your people. What would you like to do to him? Unanimously. There will not be one. Again, I said no leftists are allowed to come. I'm taking all you right-wingers and all you Holocaust survivors and all you Zionists, taking you right back there, and I'm saying this is baby Adolf, born in Germany, good Catholic family. What do you want to do to him? Unanimously. that baby will be a distant memory from life. That baby will cease to exist unanimously. Okay? Netanyahu sees Iran the same way any Zionist sees Nazi Germany. That's what he sees. He does not see someone that can be debated with. He doesn't see someone that can have mediation with. He sees they want to kill us. We must kill them. We must not let them have a weapon of mass destruction. We must not let them be in close proximity to us with powerful, destructive chemical or nuclear weapons of any kind. In fact, we must not allow them to be even in close contact with Russia, with China, because we know Russia needs allies in the region. Putin's not a fool. Putin's not a fool. Putin knows that Ashkenazi Israel is America in the Middle East. Putin knows that is an American colony sitting there in the Middle East carrying yarmulkes on their head. No, Putin's not a fool. Putin says, I need the same thing. And who else but Iran? Who else but Hamas and Hezbollah? Who else but that region of individuals who have the capacity to give him what he wants? Putin knows Palestine's done. I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry to say it to every Palestinian. Palestine is basically a dead zone on the way to Israel's attack of Iran, because Hamas is not the target. The Palestinian is not the target. Iran is the target. You understand me? And there's no way that Benjamin Netanyahu forced his way back into office. You think he came back for what? For money? He came back for prestige? The man came back to obliterate Iran. And don't get it twisted. He came back for war. That's what he came back for. I was listening to a podcast the other day, gentlemen. And the gentleman who Netanyahu put it as his right-hand man, he said the same thing. He says, you know, if I know anything about Benjamin Netanyahu, his agenda is Iran. And he'll find a way. He will find a way to disarm them. That's what the man said, essentially. His own words. Netanyahu is not going to leave one single stone unturned. Period. Listen to how he speaks. There is no Muslim extremist who speaks more extremely about Islam than Netanyahu speaks about Zionism. There is no Muslim screaming jihad, Allah Akbar, any louder than Netanyahu is screaming about the independence of Zion. He said very clearly, you can live here, but you're our guests. This is our state. You hear that? I have never heard, maybe you have, Netanyahu say, this is a twin state of which we deserve our independence. And no Zionist looks at that area and says, hey, Palestine? No. Israel. This is Israel. This is Israel. Netanyahu says that the colonization of the Arab and the Muslim world is what the problem is in that region. He considers the colonization concept to be colonization of Islamic forces. They're not even considering the Christian thing. The Christian thing not even in their head. So Netanyahu literally is a Zionist on a pathway to purify his nation. And there will be no place called Palestine by when this is all finished. There will be no Palestinian living in Gaza. Right? And he will affect it in multiple ways. First of all, there'll be nothing to do there because he'll flatten the place. He's going to rip up Palestine from the tunnels up There will be nothing to go back to. It will take, and he's not a fool. He knows the international cry. He say, hey, listen, if we destroy this place in such a way, saying that we're looking for Hamas, looking for tunnels, we destroy everything. We destroy the hospitals. We destroy everything. We destroy all the infrastructure. It's going to take them 100 years to build it back. And they're not going to build it back on our watch. They ain't coming in here to build it back. The UN ain't building it back. Nah, but it's going to be nothing there. So even if they come back there, they're coming back there to do what? To live on rubbles. There's not going to be any internet, any food, any electricity. It will not be a place that anything can live for 100 years. He's going to level it. You understand me? So that's part one. He's getting those people out of the way because all he sees is an incursion of individuals who are being pushed closer and closer to strike at Israel. Period. He understands Hamas and Iran are cousins. Hezbollah and Iran, and Hezbollah and Hamas, those people eat at the same table. Period. And he knows you cannot have your enemy living in close proximity to you like that. You cannot have the friend of your enemy living in close proximity to you like that. Technology changes too quickly. Yeah, they tried it the first time. And the question really is, did he know they were going to try it? Was he okay with it? He's like, yeah, let them try. I'd like them to try. Because once they do that, I will be able to walk through that place with the world can't say anything to me. And this is why this propaganda cry to support Israel. Do you condemn the October 7th massacre? Every single news host starts with that. Do you condemn? When they get a Palestinian on there, first of all, we'd like to thank you for coming, but we want to ask you a question. Do you condemn the October 7th massacre of Hamas on the musical festival in Israel? It's the first thing they want out their mouth. They don't want historical references. They don't want any of that. They don't want any of that. That's not part of the dialogue. And this thing didn't start with the occupation, ladies and gentlemen. This thing didn't start with the occupation. It's not about the occupation. So to talk about that, this thing didn't start in 1948. In 1948, yes, we can say that, but it didn't. This didn't start there. Okay. Once you have people that identify themselves as the Jews of antiquity, this starts in their mind with Moses. This starts with Abram, and God saying, "This is your land." They fundamentally believe it's their land. There's nothing in their mind at all that says they need to share it with anyone. It's their homeland. And the indigenous people of the land, you can read the book of Ezra. You can read the book of Nehemiah and see what Israel thought of the Samaritan when he came back into his land. To see the mentality that Israel had towards the indigenous people that were in the land then. They had no. They felt that those people were not part of who we are. They didn't let them build back the temple. They said, you have nothing to do with us. This is historical. This doesn't start in 1948. So when you have this mentality, this mentality from Europeans that they are the people of antiquity and that their behavior now needs to resemble the antiquitous people and how the book was written towards what they should do, it's a done deal. Let's talk about Iran before I saw somebody make a comment of Iran. Of course Iran is going to fight. They want Iran to fight. They know Iran doesn't have a chance against them. Listen, Netanyahu has no problem with full-out warfare against Iran. That's what he wants. Iran will stand. China and Russia will stand with them. Yes, but they won't send fighters. They'll send weapons. From a geopolitical play, China will protect its interests in the Middle East. Iran is a major energy supplier to China. Now that's a very, I love this comment. Let's talk. This is a smart man here. Let's talk. Okay? Let's have this conversation right now. So, first and foremost, let's remember something, okay? China is the Saudi Arabia of the East. Did I say that right? Yeah. China is the Saudi Arabia of the East. Because China has a great relationship with America too. Just like Saudi Arabia has a great relationship with America, but Saudi Arabia has a great relationship with every Islamic force and finances all of them. Right? Finances all of them. The mistake of Biden and Obama was they said, hey, these guys operate on money. All we got to do is tell Iran, listen, we don't want to fight you. We're just going to pay you not to build a nuclear force. Here's $6.5 billion. We'll say it's for hostages. We'll say it's for hostages. But we're going to pay you not to build a nuclear system, a nuclear arsenal. We're going to pay you not to do it. We'll become better partners. And so you won't feel that you need it. Big mistake. Because you're talking with fundamentalists. Right? Period. I understand you're trying to work, but we fundamentally believe we should have it. We need what you have. We're not going to leave ourselves in a position to have Gentiles with more power than us. It doesn't make sense, right? So China absolutely will try to support it, but China's not going to. Well, the Iran nuclear entire nuclear arsenal was built with Chinese technology. Period. Iran and China put nukes together. That was their thing. But Putin's not a fool. Putin wants representation, but he's not going to arm Iran. China's not stupid either. They're not going to put these guys in a position where they become a formidable force. America is the only people that will do that because the Israeli is an American. The Israeli is American. Those Israelis are, that's America. China knows. Iran will never be China in the Middle East. Russia knows Iran will never be Russia in the Middle East. But those white Europeans are Americans in Jewish clothing, a lot of them. They got American passports. Most of them are joint citizens with America. Most of them are. Most of them. They're cool with America. So you have a scenario that's a very different situation. China will definitely help a little bit because they don't want America to get too strong. But the region is strong already. America, Britain, NATO already, they're hundreds of years ahead. Who the heck else has a bloody Iron Dome? Nobody. Iran don't have that kind of technology. Israel knows. We got them. They don't have anything. They can't mess with us. Our drones, our Air Force, our missiles, our Iron Dome, and all the other technology that we haven't even heard of that these guys have. Iran doesn't have a chance. And Israel's just been waiting. Israel's been collecting money from America, putting that money to use, building an arsenal. So when the time comes, Iran will be completely outmanned. And this is the time. Iran don't have a chance against Israel. And this is why you haven't seen the Israeli roll in there with 300,000 foot soldiers on a regular foot invasion, which would be a waste of time. Why send human beings to do what drones can do for you, as we've seen, right? And that's what's happening. They're going to tear up and dig up all of Gaza with incredible technological force, period. And they're going to piss off the Arab world. They're going to have the Arabs call for their brothers to come and help, and they're going to piss off, and they've already started. Hezbollah's already started. They've already gone into Syria. They've already gone into Lebanon. They've already started striking on these guys. So please, this is not no war between Hamas and Israel anymore. It started that in the first few days. The whole Middle East is in this right now. Let me hear what you got to say. The Palestinians have said that they don't have an issue with Israel in the land. This is like, in the mind of an Israeli, it is like your house guest saying to you, we don't mind if you own the house. That's what that sentence said to me when I'm listening from the mind of an Israeli who thinks, what do you mean you don't mind if we're in the land? It's our land. It's always been our land. You were just left here. We were taken out of the land. Now understand, this is their mentality, right? They are not the indigenous people who were taken out of the land. They are European converts, but still, they believe that land is their land. Let's go from there. They believe they are the original people of the book. That's what they believe. That's what the Zionist European believes. So they said that Israel and the land, they have an issue with impersonators currently there. Okay, right, I hear you. And that's what former Prime Minister of Egypt, Garnal Adel Nasser, said before they went to war with them in the 1950s. And Daniel, brother, you whistling, you preaching to the choir, because the indigenous people of the land, the indigenous Hebrew of the land, he wasn't a Czechoslovakian, he wasn't a Pole, he wasn't a Russian, he wasn't from Austria, he wasn't from Germany, he wasn't from Sweden, okay, he wasn't Slovakian. We know who the original people were. We understand that, right? However, the people who have been given the right to claim the land, they've been given the might, they've been told, be Jewish as you can, let the world see you. And then at the same time, when the American white evangelical shook hands with the white European Jew and said, we are brothers because we are the same. When Charlton Heston declared himself to be Moses, we know what the scenario is. We know the propaganda of this thing. We know. But at the end of the day, they are the facial identity, the military identity, the national identity of what a Jew is. The European, Ashkenazi, and Sephardic Jew standing in the Holy Land. And they have all the weapons of warfare. They have all the Yiddish, and they have all the customs to say, this is us, this is who we've always been, this is ours, and those people shouldn't be here. They are also very indicative of their true identity because they are the warring people of Europe who are colonized everywhere they've gone. They've tried to take over everywhere they've gone. Whether they're Jew, whether they're Christian, whether they're barbarians, they've tried to do the same. Whether they're a Viking, whether they're a Galatian, doesn't matter who, they've tried to do the same. So their behavior is similar to their actual genetic DNA of who they are. Their identity now, religious identity, has changed. And they have the right to change their identity. But now, Hitler helped them. Hitler helped them by attempting to say, these people are the reason that Germany is weak. And they attacked these little Jewish guys in Germany and gave them a platform to say, these are the only people that should be called Jews, when there's Africans and people from various countries all over the place that have been called Jews from before that time. But NATO put a white man, a Jewish white man, in control of the Middle East. And that's all there is to it. NATO put a Jewish white man in control of the Middle East and said, you will be the face that we call Jewish. And they're Jewish. They're original Hebrews? No. Are they Semitic? No. Do they identify with the Mosaic law? Yes. They're Jewish. Are they being attacked because they're Jewish? Yes. People don't like them because they're Jewish. They don't like them. Are they defending themselves? Yes. Are they being brutal? Absolutely. Do they have mercy for the Palestinian? Hell no. They don't. And this is the part that hurts the feelings of the evangelical and the Western narrative. They're saying, oh, well, you know, what can I say? Like, this is what Colonel West is saying. Colonel West is saying all the time. He said, a Jewish baby and a Palestinian baby have the same value. We know that as human beings. We know that. Does Netanyahu believe that? No. Netanyahu doesn't believe that. Does Hamas believe it? No. They absolutely don't believe it. Does Hezbollah believe it? No, they don't. So when you got folks in that mentality that basically say your right to live is disingenuous, I devalue your right to exist, especially living here. You can exist, but you can't exist here. You got a hell of a fight on your hands. That's who you're dealing with over there. That's who you're dealing with over there. You understand? That's the kind of mentality you're dealing with over there. You have the right to live, but not here. And if you and this is ours. You're a guest, and we are evicting you right now. And that's that. The world needs to stop having this this philosophical conversation on the value of life. Every competent human being understands the value of life. Competent human being understands the value of life. Netanyahu says, I am here for Israel, and I will eliminate, exterminate those who have tried to exterminate us. This is his mentality. And I'll tell you right now, he's not alone. He's not alone. The rabbis are saying the same thing. Some of the left has come over. The centrist is saying the same thing. The right winger is saying the same thing. And 360,000 IDF soldiers are saying the same doggone thing. They're not playing anymore. And the match has been lit, and the fire will not go out until Netanyahu can walk into Gaza with his bare feet and touch the ground and say, nobody will ever desecrate this land or threaten the lives of my people again. I am here standing in Gaza. We have liberated Israel. Guaranteed. You don't think that's what that man wants to say? That man will take off his shoes, roll up, and stand in the soils of Gaza under the blood of Palestinian children, men, women, under the blood of Israeli and Hamas soldiers, and under the wind of white phosphorus that they've blown up this place with, and say, liberated. And the world will cheer. The West will say Israel has liberated their homeland. And yeah, there'll be a little pushback. The Palestinians have been displaced, and this is this and this. The media will stop talking about that in a month, and it'll be about Israel's building back, the build-up programs, and all the other stuff that will happen, my friend. Oh, and Hezbollah will get vexed and maybe blast a couple more, and Israel say, "Oh, you're still coming? Let's go back to war again." They're not easy, bro. They're coming for Iran. Because who's going to sit there and let them do that? No, they're coming for Iran. They want to make sure there's no formidable force against us in the Middle East. We're going to make sure that anyone that thinks they're going to fight against us is impotent. All right? Don't think that anything's going to stand up in your pants to fight us. You will be an impotent force, and they will make sure that. And the occupation of Gaza, you wait. If they get into Iran, you're going to see the IDF standing up in that place too. They're not going to let you rebuild your underground terrorists. No. They're not going to do it. Why do you think they're not letting any supplies in from Egypt? 300 trucks lined up. They let in 3. They're not letting those guys. They say, no, buddy, we're not going to let you pour water on the soil of one plant to make anything grow over here. We're going to kill it all. I guarantee you. That's what they're doing over there. Dwight Howard. Can we have a conversation about Dwight Howard? Not even a month, within 2 weeks. That's right. The conversation will end. The civilization war. This is a civilization war, not Iran and Israel. This war is, I just disagree with you. This war is between Iran and Israel. Netanyahu is picking a fight with Iran. He wants them gone. He wants their nuclear program totally destroyed, and the only way to do it is to destroy Iran. He wants Iran. That's my thesis statement. Watch and see. He wants Iran. All right. Hezbollah is much more developed than Hamas. For those who haven't heard me say that, Hamas is a little boy. Hezbollah is a grown man. Okay. And Hamas, we see, it's not easy to dig those guys out because they have 500 miles of tunnels, but he's just going to level that Gaza. But now he's got to have a real reason to come into Iran. And if Iran was smart, they would just sit back and fold their arms and do nothing. But they can't, because they hate that Israeli so bad. They can't stand to see him do anything. Trust me. Trust me. They've already gone into Syria. They've gone into places that, listen, anywhere where they think, if you even whisper the word nuclear bomb in the Middle East, Israel will bomb you, period. They will send their planes in there and wipe you out at the dark of night and come back and be like, what happened? What happened? Oh, geez, did something blow up over there? Let me tell you something. And again, that hospital, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Oh, that was friendly fire. That was a rocket from him. No. Listen. These guys are not dumb. Not dumb. Israel doesn't care if you're hiding in a hospital, if you're hiding in a mosque. They don't care. They're blowing all that up. So that place is going to be, they're not going to leave hospitals for you. They're not going to leave water for you. They're not going to leave anything for you to live. It's not. They're at war. You're not going, there's nowhere to hide. Run. Get out. That's all. That's the only position they have. But can we talk about Dwight Howard? Political Israel is not biblical Israel. Absolutely it's not. 100%, my brother. You're too bullish on Israel. I don't know what that means. Israel is the bully of the region, my friend. Like, Israel's the bully of the region. Like, I don't know what you mean by that, but Israel's going to wipe out all those people. They don't have a chance to fight back. They can't. They don't have an army. Have you seen an army? They don't have an army. They don't have weapons. They're defenseless. They've been defenseless for years. Israel's going to wipe them out. Israel is America in the Middle East. It's the American military there. You have three. I think there's three now. Gigantic aircraft carriers there, just fueling bombs and like 6,000 bombs in 2 days. Like, no, I'm not bullish on Israel. I'm just telling you, there's no chance for Gaza. Gaza is under the compassionate grace of Netanyahu, and he has none. So they're gone. It's not going to be there. It's not going to be there. Unfortunately, it's not going to be there. The Palestinian is going to become a refugee, a world refugee. They already are, and the world will have to figure out what they're going to do, because again, that's not Israel in the Middle East. That's America in the Middle East. That's it. And Putin is trying to figure out where he lines himself up. But it's going to come to Israel versus Iran. That's my perspective. You will see it's true. It's going to happen. Period. And this is the time for it. And Netanyahu will not go to his grave until he picks a fight with Iran. So that's why he hated Obama. And he's not going to let Biden become an Obama 2.0. So anyway, what the heck is Dwight Howard really doing these days, my friends? I don't know. I don't understand him. I don't understand him. Did you guys hear the story? Did you hear the story? I'm gonna break it down. Toronto Raptors, we love you, Toronto. We love you, Toronto. I'm glad you started off great. Glad you started off good. We're gonna talk about some basketball another episode. But so Dwight Howard, for those who don't know, I don't know if you don't know him. He's originally high school standout, 6'11", just an Adonis the way he was built. Drafted by the Orlando Magic, was a standout center, called himself Superman. Went from Orlando, I think he became a Laker later on in his career. I don't think he had anything in between. Again, a great standout player, even to play with LeBron. Kept his physique. Decided to leave the NBA, go play in Taiwan. And has always complained about how come he's not back in the NBA. And I always wonder too, I'm like, why? You're telling me Dwight Howard can't be used in the NBA? Like, this guy looks like he's in incredible shape, and I don't understand how come he couldn't play in the NBA. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Why would they wash Dwight Howard out of the NBA so quickly for a guy who's still able to play, still able to contribute to some extent? And they're giving him low money too. Even when he was playing, they were giving him very little money. He was getting $2 million, $1 million. See, like minimal money. Well, I think we know now. So apparently what took place was Dwight Howard met a guy on social media, and immediately, had started to have conversations with him about, like, send me pictures of yourself, and apparently they exchanged, intimate pictures of themselves. And Dwight Howard invited this gentleman to his home, and the gentleman arrives thinking he's going to have a romantic endeavor with Dwight Howard, who has a multitude of kids. I think Dwight Howard has an abundance of children, like double digits, I believe. A lot of child support, but this gentleman comes to the house thinking he's going to have a romantic endeavor with Dwight Howard. When he gets to the house, he realizes that Dwight Howard brings another man dressed like a woman out of the closet. This individual's name is Kitty. Yeah, it gets bizarre. And so the gentleman, apparently, who is filing this lawsuit, who's saying that Dwight Howard sexually assaulted him. This is how this information came out. Dwight Howard said it was not sexually assault, it was consensual. It was a consensual situation where he admits to having an intimate homosexual relationship with this man and other men at his home. So apparently the man was not comfortable, and he said in his court documents that Dwight Howard held him down. Dwight's a pretty big guy, so I don't know, maybe it's possible, but held him down and performed fellatio on him. And the man did not like it, although he came there for sex act with Dwight Howard. And then Dwight participated with Kitty, having sexual relations with Kitty. We don't know who was the pitcher and who was the catcher. We know baseball was being played. And the gentleman was forced to participate in more sexual adventures with Superman and Kitty. And then, after he had enough, he's trying to call himself an Uber, but Dwight said, "No, Kitty will drive you home." And then Kitty drove that poor young man. And so, I don't know how many millions he's suing for. I don't know what it's about, but right now it's a criminal case. And Dwight Howard is clearly a gentleman who enjoys gentlemen. And this is a new age that we're living in, where apparently everything's allowable. You're supposed to allow everything. You're supposed to not judge anybody. Unfortunately, I don't care about that generation. I really don't give a doggone about that mindset. Because this is what it is for me. If you position yourself to be one way, and now we find out years later that you're another way, you're just deceitful. You're deceitful. And why didn't you come on the scene and tell everybody that you're a switch hitter? But all of a sudden now we find out at the latter end of your career that you like boys. I met somebody in Toronto not very long ago, and actually, you should check out her music, actually, if you want to. She's quite a talented artist. Her name is Ray Moon. And she was advising me that she knew firsthand of Dwight Howard's adventures. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to jeopardize the confidence that was kept. But so I wasn't surprised based on what Ray Moon had told me. Ray Moon's not a bad artist, so you check her out. But Ray Moon knew firsthand that Mr. Howard liked to do things that men shouldn't like to do. So when I heard the story, I was like, I guess what the young lady had told me was correct. That Dwight was one of them funny boys. And like I said, the level of deceit with this type of undercover lifestyle, and there's a lot of men involved in this lifestyle. And I'm not talking about just plain homosexuals, because we know there's been homosexuals from biblical age, But I'm talking about the little undercover, these little undercover boys, and it's kind of a dangerous thing for me. Like me personally, it's kind of a very dangerous thing because, first of all, you got a guy like Dwight Howard, who's engaging in a very risky lifestyle. He clearly also likes women too, and based on the amount of children he has, he's clearly a man that doesn't utilize condoms or any protective type of element to his situation. So now you got a person who has this culture of, again, extracurricular activities, and he's feeding that culture. This culture doesn't need to be fed, to be honest with you, anymore. But you got a lot of women now, a lot of women in the black community, and again, when I say things, I protect people who talk to me, but like people come to talk to me about a lot of stuff. Like I counsel a lot of people, and I listen to a lot of people crying about men that they're in love with, but know full well these men are having sex with other men, and they are still having relations, unprotected sex with these men who are having sex with other men. And I know we're past the 90s of the big context of AIDS and HIV and all these other things, but the undercover brother, to me, is still a problem. That's still a major problem. And there's a lot of women out there now that are literally actually accepting that lifestyle, right? I can't see my screen. Okay, there I am back. What'd you say? He's a sausage eater. He's not he don't just eat the sausage, my friend. Taking sausage anywhere the sausage come. But like I said it on my Facebook the other day, right? Because I have a couple of different gigs, and sometimes I do close security. I do security at particular venues, and sometimes those parties are alternative parties. I don't know before I get there. I get there and I'm like, I didn't really want to be at this party tonight. But you see the things that certain communities, gay communities, homosexual men, how they wear their clothes, what they wear. I've noticed this. They wear pearl necklaces. They wear pearl wristbands. The pearl necklace thing, you can look that up on Urban Dictionary. You know exactly what a pearl necklace is. I'm not gonna degenerate this channel by talking about exactly what that is. You can look it up yourself. Urban Dictionary, pearl necklace. You'll figure it out. But that necklace that they're wearing is a symbol to what they're into. And so what happens now are heterosexual men sometimes pick up on styles that they don't even realize that's not a style, brother. That's a statement. And similar, women are picking up on, well, you know what? If he sleeps with other men, who cares? No, and that's not a thing. That's not a thing, man. And then we've got this really fluid mentality of what a homosexual is now, right? Where you have guys who say, they like certain things, but they're not gay. And so now you have people not identifying as gay, but they like things that gay men like. And these things, they're making this very, very confusing. It's not confusing for me. It's very clear. It's very plain. And people are going to say, well, who are you to judge this? Who are you to judge? My job is not to judge, but I would really like to know, as a man, that I can walk the street and do a number of things. As a single man, I would like to know I could walk the street and talk to a woman, and it's a woman. She was born a woman. She wasn't made a woman. I would like to know that same woman I'm talking to, her past relationship was with a man who actually only liked women, or not preferably with no man, but with a man who actually liked women, and she wasn't engaged in some kind of triangular scenario that she didn't understand. Right? I'm a very specific guy with certain things. Once I know that you are in another man's bed, I'm done with you. Like I once I know that you're entertaining other men, I'm done with you. I don't have time. There's a lot of women out here. There's a lot of women out here. Like if I know that you're someone that likes the attention of a lot of men, I don't really have time for that. Me personally, that's just not my thing. I'm not in a competition with nobody. I'm not trying to be. I don't have to be. I really don't. Thank God. So knowing though, in this popular culture, there's so much that and I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm just talking for men, but there's so much that men already have to deal with. There really is. And dealing with the fact that now you might have a generation of women who are actually okay with undercover men, and now you really have to ask women questions like, have you got to ask women a lot of questions now. Are you interested in women? Right? Because there's a potential, as people say, well, all women are gay. I know a lot of you are older and you might not be hearing these things. Please listen to me. Guys in the street now are saying all women are gay. Girls like girls. All women are potentially gay. That's a terminology. That's like a common ideology of the time. Oh, all women are gay. All girls like girls. Right? Part 2. Would you date a guy that you knew historically had sex with men? A lot of women, I think, are going to be more open to that than they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. And so now as a man, what are you signing up for? That's the question. What are you signing up for? There's brothers in this city and sisters in this city sleeping with men, both black and white. I'm talking about black women sleeping with white men who are interested in having sex with other black men. And they're marrying these guys. They're in love with these guys. They have romantic incursions with these guys, and these brothers are out here. Not brothers. Some of these white men are out here dating black women and also dating black men, and it's a slippery slope. This is Toronto, and I don't think Toronto is unique. In fact, I think it's probably just like any other major city. If not, we know San Francisco and all these other places, but Toronto is really a very liberal place where there's a lot of craziness happening on these streets. When you sit around and, like, a guy my age, like, I'm really being told things by younger generations, seeing things by younger generations, and realizing, whew, there's a lot going on out here. And Dwight Howard is a poster child of not what is. He's actually, sorry, I'll say better. Dwight Howard is the poster child of the new normal. He is the poster child of the new normal. This is normal. This is normal behavior, is what I'm trying to tell you. Dwight Howard is not an apparition of abnormality. He is the definition of what is normal today. And it's very scary out here. It's very scary out here that we have raised a level of men who are extremely open to same-sex relationships, and they're also considering themselves to still be heterosexual. That is confusing, and that starts right in the school systems of this gender fluidity and sexual fluidity. And this is why, very clearly, that you have to now fight the military battle of your child mind from a very young age, because this is just basic sociology. Whatever you expose a child to sexually, they will be permissive in that thing later on. If you expose a young child to same-sex relationships at a formative age, that child will grow up with that type of permissive sexual identity, where if it's not dominant, it's sitting there as submissive somewhere in their mentality, in their psyche. They'll be open to it. If the conversation itself, and you don't have to be exposed to it in the act of sex, but what about exposing them to it in the classroom, exposing it to them with the people that are educators, telling them you can do this, exposing it to them with the people they look up to, the stars, the athletes, the actors, and saying this is okay. And the last front is you as parents exposing it to them in respect to how you live and what you do. Right? We've made it very easy for little girls to say, we don't have to. Black children have made we very. We don't have to stay married. I can raise a child by myself. Do you know how many women I hear saying, grown women, educated, saying, "Oh, I need to have a child by the time I'm 28. I need a child more than I need the marriage. I want to have a baby. I want to have a baby before this particular age." What do you mean have a baby? What about the house, the husband? No. I mean, that's great, but I need to have the baby. So the concepts that we have, the current day mentalities we have, they're different. And that's an hour. That's all I got to say. This is Del K. Burton. This is The Real Spiel. And we'll talk again.